I'll turn the trick for 20 bucks.
You looking for me?
I like getting one over on these guys, using a fake name, making them think I like them, and then leaving them to cry in their beer. They're as pathetic as they are necessary. After all, they pay my bills, but every now and then, one of them will make me mad.
Did your mama teach you anything?
Really mad. And it's those guys that get to see the real me. Milton was one of those guys.
All right.
He saw the real me.
Call came in that there was a body, a potential homicide at a golf course within the city, Savannah.
He was found with blunt force trauma to the head, some strangulation.
There was a fair amount of blood on the scene. The victim was identified immediately by the officers as Milton Bradley, a longtime Savannah resident. He was a World War II vet. Was a fixture in the parks and squares downtown. He liked to sit around and feed the birds. Milton was extremely friendly and wouldn't harm a fly. His pocket was pulled inside out. Robbery was the apparent motive. So it wasn't a typical opportunistic robbery as in like a mugging. It was an isolated spot. It was some place that someone would have to know in advance to go there for a very secluded spot or area. And the circumstances were suspicious because the level of violence that was found was far greater than anything probably needed to rob someone like Mr. Bradley.
He also had something in his throat.
He had leaves, dirt, stuffed into his throat. The dirt and leaves shoved in the mouth made you wonder if they had done this before, if they were experienced in this.
The Savannah Police Department were able to pull a palm print off of the shed where Milton Bradley was killed.
But at the time, there was no one in the system that it matched.
What can I say? Milton wouldn't pay up. I told you what happens when you make me mad. But it means I gotta hit the road. I've been on the road since I'm 13 years old. I left because my stepdad, he hit me a lot. So I hit him back. One of us had to go. My mom begged me, don't make me choose. Well, that there was her choice. So I left. And now I just keep on moving. But I'm not worried. I'll find another lonely soul and start all over again.
After the scene investigation, we began to try to backtrack the victim's whereabouts. Where had that victim been before this happened? Milton Bradley was known to drink at a local gay bar in the downtown Savannah area. We had a lot of tips coming in from the gay community. One of the witnesses told us that he and the suspect had stopped in a local convenience store to purchase some beer. The suspect in the surveillance tape matched the descriptions we were getting to a T. He was a white male, average height, slim build, dark hair and a mustache. The information was coming in from members of the community that the transient male was no longer here. He was gone.
I never really know where I'm headed. I just stop driving when I feel like it. It doesn't matter. Every town is just like every other. Every bar, every guy, they're all the same. All I have to do is walk in, look around, and whichever one notices me first, he's gonna be the one.
Yeah. You smoke?
No. You can say anything. The words, they don't matter.
Thank you. Yeah. Ego fish lips. Oh.
It's how you say them.
Easy there, easy.
And once you hook them, you're in control.
Late in May, I received a call from Major Tom Reeves with the Nassau County, Florida Sheriff's Department, who felt that he had a murder with similar circumstances. The victim, Al Morris, was found killed by a shotgun blast. Albert Morris was a gay man, not known to engage in any criminal activity. One of the key witnesses saw this transient male drinking with Morris at some of the local gay bars and living with Morris for a short period of time. It was a transient who kind of latched onto him and was staying with him. They had a composite drawing of their suspect. It was a good likeness of the person who had been seen with Milton Bradley. There were similarities in both cases that the suspect wasn't from the area, had latched onto a gay male, and was now gone after the victim was dead. We didn't have a name for him yet, but we were confident the suspect was the same in both the Florida case and the Savannah case. Now you're looking at what are potentially two murders in two states linked. Is this a serial offender?
I can't even count them anymore. Their faces all just blend together into one. I had a dream once that every guy in the bar was my stepdad. I beat the crap out of all of them in my dream. Talking them out of their money, it's fun. But now, it's like every time I let loose on one of them, I feel a little bit better. Now I hope one of them gives me trouble. But let's face it, I don't really need an excuse anymore.
You want to buy me a beer?
From March to May of 1994, there was a series of murders that were committed along the eastern seaboard from Florida to Maryland. We really wanted to focus on the gay community because we thought that he was targeting gays. We just wanted to focus on getting the word out that there is a predator among you.
It became very intensive, both the investigation and the manhunt.
During the same period, another murder happened in Daytona. It was similar in nature to the other murders. They suffered from blunt force trauma to the head, strangulation, and there was also some piece of cloth that was found in their throats as they died of asphyxiation. At that murder scene, a probation paper was found. The name on it was Gary Ray Bowles. They were able to get the prints and the photographs of Gary Ray Bowles. And they made a comparison between the palm print they found on the shed and his prints, and it was a match.
We found out that there was a white male who had been seen with Mr. Bradley, who used several different names, Mark, James, Jim, and had different stories about why he was in Savannah.
That was the conclusive evidence that Gary Ray Bowles was at the murder scene of Milton Bradley.
We obtained a photo, and witnesses were able to pick out Gary Ray Bowles as the transient or the last person seen with Mr. Bradley before he was found dead.
We knew Gary Ray Bowles went to prison. He was arrested as early as the age of 17. We knew that he had traveled to at least 3 states, and we knew that he felt comfortable going to bars and hustling for a living. We believed that he had left the state of Georgia. It was at that time where the FBI could enter the investigation and try and find him.
His father died at an early age. He didn't have a stable home life. He spent a lot of time in Florida. He had started drinking and using drugs at an early age.
There was some physical abuse. He was out of the house by the age of 13, and that's when he began to hustle for a living.
You want to buy me a beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosie, can I get this guy a beer?
Gary hustled clearly to make money. Throughout growing up, he had girlfriends. He would date girls. Any links that Gary had with the gay community were strictly professional. He met his victims hustling. At the end of the night, he would need a place to stay, and the victims were nice enough to let him crash at their house.
When they're looking for Gary Bowles just becomes someone else. Hell, I had already been dozens of people. But working 9 to 5 was never for me. It was too quiet in the daytime. Too much time to think and remember things that I don't want to remember. That's why the nights would always be mine. Plenty of distractions, plenty of fun, and plenty of opportunities to let off some steam.
He was preying on the gay community, and we wanted to get publicity out about who Gary Ray Bowles was, so that if the public came in contact with him, they would notify the police. We knew that he was a serial killer, and he was still on the loose, and he had yet to be captured, and we knew he had to be stopped. From March to May of 1994, there was a series of murders that were committed along the eastern seaboard from Florida to Maryland. We knew that the individual who was committing these murders was Gary Ray Bowles. We considered him extremely dangerous.
You looking for me?
Gary Bowles was put on the top 10 most wanted list. But by that time, he could have been anywhere in the United States.
I received a bulletin and involved a subject by the name of Gary Ray Bowles. They believe that he was responsible for murder in Jacksonville. I got a phone call a few weeks later from a bus driver and asked me if I was looking for Gary Bowles.
Sir, we are looking for...
What this driver told me was, I think I saw Gary Ray Bowles on the bus the other day when I was driving. I met with this man to show him pictures.
I need you to be absolutely sure, so please take a good look at this
And he
picture.
picked out a most recent photograph of Bowles and said that's the man he saw on the bus. He's in our area. He's definitely here. I knew when I was on patrol, be on the lookout. So if I got information that I could possibly apprehend a suspect, I'm like, man, I might be able to get this guy.
Police! Open up! Police! Anyone in there? Open up! Police!
Hey, Jay.
Police! Is anybody here? Police!
No one's here.
We didn't find him. We didn't have anything to go on. He was gone. We're gonna run into this guy. He's here in Jacksonville. We have to apprehend him. I received a call of a possible homicide on the south side of town. The victim, his name was Jay Hinton. The friend hadn't seen him in a couple of days, became concerned, forced his way inside Jay's trailer, and found him deceased in the bedroom. When I first arrived on the scene, this is a mobile home, and I noticed that leveling stones, these are big square block stones, they were used as stepping stones. I noticed that there was one missing. The stone that I noticed missing was in the middle of the victim's bed. The victim was covered with sheeting and wrapped up.
A concrete block, which was right near the bed, had been dumped right on his head. He had injuries to his arms. It was a very brutal murder.
It appeared that there was a rag in the victim's mouth. Somebody had placed it there, pushed it in there. We started looking around for evidence. On the dresser in the victim's bedroom, we noticed a pay stub from the labor office. The name on the pay stub was Timothy Whitfield. We wanted to interview him and find out what his association with the victim was.
When was the last
I
time
told
you
them
saw
that if they came across a Timothy Whitfield, to notify us immediately so we can question him.
Jay ruined a great thing. We had a deal. As long as he was paying the bills, I made sure he was happy. But when the money stopped, the fun stopped. And he made the mistake of rubbing me the wrong way. It was time to move on, get my paycheck, and hustle someone new.
Approximately 2 days after I was called out to the victim's mobile home, I received a call that Jacksonville Beach police had picked up Timothy Whitfield. He was about 5'9", 165, 170 pounds,
little scruffy looking. He appeared like he hadn't slept in a bed in a while.
So I guess just
We had him in the room, and I'm looking at him. He looked very familiar to me. And I knew I was face to face with Gary Ray Bowles. My heart started beating. I knew what I had in front of me, but I had to try to maintain control of everything and not to lose him at that point.
But I did meet some of his friends.
The interview was approximately 45 minutes long.
I think he must have gone.
We've been asking questions.
How long did you know Mr. Henry?
At one point, there was some inconsistencies with his answers.
Just a minute ago, you said it was 1 week.
Jay and I,
Is it 2 weeks or one?
We met about 2 weeks ago.
I stopped him abruptly and said, "Quit lying to me."
I think you're lying to me, Tim.
The demeanor changed immediately, and he got agitated, he got angry, he stiffened up. He came across and got right in my face.
You know who I really am?
You want to know who I am?
Gary Ray Bowles.
That's who I am, Gary Ray Bowles. My focus was just to keep talking. Gary confessed to killing Jay Henry, and he went through the procedures of how he did it.
Kept beating him and beating him.
Apparently, Jay was upset with Gary
I sort of missed that you
insulted my friend.
and had kicked Gary out of the residence. Don't come back type of thing.
Do you understand?
He allowed him to come back that night, just for the night, and then you gotta go. That's the attitude. I guess Gary just got bad with that. Each one of them seemed to be a little bit different. One thing was consistent. He got mad with them. Something would snap, he'd commit the murder. He would put toilet paper, face cloth, and shove it down into the victim's throat.
What would be the point in lying anymore? I did what I did, and that was that. So I told them what I'd done. But for some reason, that just wasn't enough for them. They kept asking me why. How could I explain how the blood would rush into my head like a freight train? How could I explain how relieved I felt after I was done? I didn't really have an answer. I just knew that the hustle was over.
He had confessed to at least 6 murders. And since he committed the last murder here in Jacksonville, we got him and we tried him here. Did Gary Ray Bowles regret what he did? I think that's maybe too strong a word. He understood what he did, and he understood what he did was wrong, but he wasn't doubled over crying because of what he had done.
Ever heard of the phrase natural born killer? Well, I don't believe in it. I think there's no such thing. What I think is that we're all made by our surroundings, by the people around us. You reap what you sow. They say you're either the predator or the prey. But what I am, well, that's something in between. When you first meet me, I may seem like the sheep, but it turns out I was the wolf all along. That's the perfect hustle.